She keeps chairs warm, Dad joked. Then a black chopper landed on the street. Elite soldiers jumped out. General Carter, we have the nuclear football. The smell of grilled ribs and freshly cut grass should have made the day feel warm, familiar. Instead, I stood there in my pressed sundress, holding a lemonade like it was a security badge, completely invisible. This was my parents' 45th wedding anniversary. A big backyard barbecue celebration packed with relatives, old Navy friends, and neighbors who still called my dad Colonel even though he'd retired a decade ago. He thrived in this environment, retelling war stories for the 100th time while people gathered around like disciples at a campfire. My mom flitted between tables, refilling drinks, whispering names to guests she'd forgotten over the years. Me? I was the daughter with the computer job, the one who always missed birthdays because of some project. I watched as my cousin Brett showed off his combination medal from a recent training exercise. My uncle clapped him on the back so hard I could hear it from across the yard. Now that's a soldier. My uncle boomed. Boots on the ground. That's real service. People buzzed around them, eager to ask questions. No one ever asked what I did, and honestly, I'd stopped expecting them to. They had already built a version of me that was easy to digest. Emily works with computers. That was the phrase my dad always used. It explained everything and nothing. As if computers couldn't mean anything from fixing printers to decoding enemy satellites. It made me sound like I spent my days adjusting Wi-Fi routers at a help desk. I let it slide every time. Because in my world, the real world, silence isn't just a preference, it's survival. I am Emily Carter. To my family, I am a 38-year-old spinster who never quite made it. But to the Department of Defense, I am Brigadier General Carter, Commander of Joint Task Force Ares. I oversee the nation's offensive cyber capabilities. I earned my star 3 weeks ago. I was frocked, promoted in a classified ceremony inside the Situation Room. I didn't tell my family. Why would I? To them, rank is about shouting and shooting. To them, if you don't have mud on your boots, you aren't serving. I stood near the folding table by the drinks, pretending to listen to my aunt drone on about Florida real estate. My eyes kept drifting back to my father, laughing with his former squadmates, louder and prouder with every beer. I used to want him to look at me like that. Now I wasn't sure I wanted to be seen at all. My brother was grilling burgers, tossing them dramatically like he was auditioning for a cooking show. My nephews ran around with water guns, screaming with the kind of joy only sugar and summer can create. And through it all, I kept smiling. Not the kind that reaches your eyes, but the kind that helps you stay unnoticed. The camouflage of the competent woman. At some point, a neighbor asked if I'd moved back to town. I said, no, I still lived in D.C. She nodded like that made sense. Then she tilted her head and asked, still doing that thing with spreadsheets? I laughed politely. Something like that. It was easier than explaining that last week. Spreadsheets involved rerouting the guidance systems of a hostile drone swarm over the Pacific.